Well, Todd Tanner Michaels, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Zach and Pat.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, happy to have you on here. You're a singer, songwriter, producer. We really appreciate Monica connecting us here and getting you in here. This is amazing. So, so Todd, you've been a touring musician, syndicated radio host. Now you've just dropped a song you wrote in a dark, lonely apartment.
Yeah.
If someone only knew you from this new single, what part of your story would they never guess just by listening?
They might think if they just heard the song only that I was like some depressed, reclusive nut job that really needed some psychiatric help.
Yeah.
But that's only a part of who I am. Yeah. So it does exist, and it has existed to much greater, I guess, on a greater level at times before. But we've all gone through periods of life like that, through a breakup or something really tragic that's happened. Someone passed away, a parent died, a divorce, and there are things that happen in life, and it's a period. And for artists, I can speak from experience here. You know, you can write, you help to heal yourself by writing your emotions, what you're feeling. And I didn't set out to write a song. And believe me, this song was written, the new single was written years after this breakup occurred. But it was just something that was on my mind one afternoon. And I was in Canada on tour in an apartment that wasn't even mine. And I was alone. I was house sitting, and there was a kitten I was taking care of for a friend, and she was away, and it just kind of poured out looking out a window one afternoon. And that can really happen when I write. It's the oddest thing. I told myself a week or so ago, I really want to write a couple of new things. And that morning, while I was getting ready to leave, getting breakfast, taking a shower, I came up with 2 new songs, so the parts of them. So it can happen really quick, and you never know when inspiration's going to hit.
Oh, that's awesome.
So what's the writing process like? Do you actually physically sit down and write, or do you sit there and pick on a guitar and just kind of come up with it, or what's the process like?
Usually for me, it's something that just happens when I'm driving or in the shower, or I'm putting on my clothes, or just hanging out at home. And I'll think of a melody, it'll come up, there'll be some lyrics that come together, and it just kind of falls in place. And sometimes it's a lot easier and it comes together much more quickly than other times. But if you ask songwriters from some of the most prolific throughout music history to people who have just written simple rap songs, pop songs, country songs, really just, they've hit the charts and they're memorable because they have a great little hook to them. But there's no overly great message to it. There's really no trick. Yeah, it's no real social injustice that's mentioned or anything like. I was in a store, a Jamba Juice in the airport the other day, and this rap song kept saying, "Chains on my people, chains on my people," and the staff were bouncing along. It's 6 in the morning, and so they're getting going while they're making people's drinks. And the one girl was singing along with the lyrics. And, it occurred to me, this may not speak to everyone, and they won't think, oh, that's rap, and I don't like rap, or it's black or whatever. Well, you know what? It speaks to her because she is African-American, and she understood the meaning behind those lyrics, about the writer was thinking of social injustice and how he feels that the black person has been kept down for decades or centuries even here in the U.S. And so it comes from that place where you feel like you want to set out to write something that's really going to touch people in a certain way, or you're going to try to change or just get people to empathize about whatever it is you're feeling. There's an audience out there for it. And if they discover it, more people will gravitate to it.
Do you think the music that's coming out today is kind of changed? Do you think it was more soulful, had more meaning, years ago versus where it's at now? Do you think now it's more just about the hook and just about the beat? Or, I think back, growing up, I like rap. And you know, some of the stuff that was coming out in the early 90s and late 90s, early 2000s, like a lot of those had solid like messages behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, I listen to some of the stuff today and I'm just like, I can't get into it. Same thing with like country music would always, I like country. I don't have a specific genre that I like. I just, if the song is good, I'm going to like it. But I feel like country music told stories. And like, that's why I'm a big Eric Church fan. Eric Church tells stories in his music. But I feel, do you feel like music's kind of gotten away from that?
I think it depends on the song and the artist. And it could even be an artist who is known for having a lot of songs that touch people. They have a lot of depth and meaning to them. But the same artist can turn around and release a simple pop song that is really, it's just like, oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Or, you know, it's just something silly, but it sticks. It clicks with people and they remember, they know the hook. It's easy to get. You mentioned rap. And when I heard some of the stuff from the 90s, when I started to pay attention to rap music, you know, in the 80s, there it was, and it was getting more popular. It crossed over, but it was more fun. When the 90s hit for me, I heard it more a very aggressive tone to the rap music. But you think of what was going on. I lived in LA then, and we had the Rodney King incident.
NWA.
Everything going on with OJ. And
yeah. And so it came from a place where the writers, you know, sometimes it's the artists writing their own songs. A lot of times it's just songwriters, and they're pushing music out, or it's a collab. But for that genre, these people were really speaking from how they felt, their perspective about what they were seeing with their communities and the police, and how they felt like it was police brutality. And we all saw, you know, the Rodney King beating, you know, that was one of the first videos that really went viral, where you see police attacking someone. Now, I'm not saying Rodney King was a saint, you know, and the police should have left him alone, whatever. I'm not getting into that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if you just saw that clip and you didn't know what Rodney King had done leading up to it, you would have, wow, these cops are brutalizing this guy right here. Well, on the other side of it, and I'll just touch on it quickly because I don't want to get into a whole element with that, but the police officers, I know because I lived in LA for so long, you get tired of seeing the same people commit the same crimes. You're chasing the same people over and over. You get them arrested. They go to jail, they get right back out, and you're doing it all over again. And you're putting your life on your line with someone who's reckless with a car, or they're armed, or if they're on drugs, or they've been drinking on top of it. Who knows what they're going to do? So as an officer, you are really putting yourself out there. And so I get that, you know, from the side of the police officers, as well as the perpetrators or those who are being arrested. But back to your point about the rap music, yes, I feel definitely during the 90s, it was very much, it came from a place of anger and hostility and frustration.
Well, that one too, Murph's going to like this part, but like EDM, like I'm starting, you know, that's become a whole movement, and now it's not even lyrics; it's just the sounds and the beats that are making people have these euphoric, I guess you'd say euphoric, like going to these euphoric or concerts or these festivals, and having this massive euphoric feeling over a whole weekend based on just the sounds that are being created.
Yeah.
So it's just like
there could be some drugs involved.
Oh yeah,
there.
for sure. I mean, I think at any point, you know, sure, you go back to the days of the Beatles and people were taking LSD and things like that. Like, I mean, I always talk to my parents about it. My mom went to Woodstock and she's like, oh yeah, you know, it was a great festival. I was, you know, it was just it was just a life-changing event. I'm like, yeah, Kyle, because you were high the whole time.
Did she admit to it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
She's not shy about it. You know, they my mom had a good time, and then my dad, he mentioned about going to some other festivals and all that. But yeah, they were real big into that back in the day, and that's kind of like, you know, that's how things have kind of evolved. You see that more nowadays with the EDM side of things than really Yeah, I guess you have, what's the big one in California, that Stagecoach,
Yeah, Coachella.
Coachella.
Yeah. And then
And
Las
so-
Vegas, every year we have Electric Daisy Carnival,
Mhm.
EDC.
Yep.
But they have a big
That's
festival
where
like that.
Murph goes to
Germany.
those. Yeah.
Yes.
Our producer goes to all.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All
He goes
right.
to every. He
Yeah.
goes to
Is
every
it Murph?
EDC.
Murph,
Yeah, Murph.
yeah.
Murph.
Yeah, he goes
right
to
on.
every EDC and all of the
Yeah,
festivals.
big
the
ones. Yeah.
Does he go to any in Europe?
I
don't know
don't
if-
think so.
No,
But
I've got a buddy from New York who I met through a mutual friend, and he goes to Ibiza all the time, and
Mhm.
goes to those big festivals that they have over there. And I mean, he's just like, it's incredible.
Well, and he recently over the last few shows he had like the media pass where he
Yeah.
was able to kind of get and like
Oh,
go
wow.
do
Oh, yeah.
because he has beautiful photography and stuff
He's-
too.
Uh-huh.
So
It's incredible.
yeah, he does some
of the
really
stuff.
really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's all over it. So
Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He loves that stuff.
Yeah. So
So
you've been on tour in Japan, Europe, all over the place.
Mhm.
What's the craziest culture shock you've experienced from traveling?
Well, you mentioned Japan, and I know the food. I'm not into fish and sushi, and
Okay.
it just But they had a lot. I was there in the fall. It was still warm, humid. It's very humid there in Asia, and they have all these little outdoor huts where they're cooking, and you could just walk right up, sit at a stool at a little stand hut. And they serve you noodles or rice in a bowl, and it's fish, some kind of fish that they're cooking. And the smell of all that with the humidity and all the people, I was getting sick one day because it was like 5 o'clock and everyone was getting off work and it's the heat of the day. And I was like, I'm going to heave. I'm going to throw up. I got to fight. So I dashed into some quick shop, store, ran into the detergent aisle and just ripped open a box of inhaling detergent just to keep from puking because all that smell and the heat, man. I thought I'm going to freaking throw up right in the middle of everything. It was nauseating.
Oh wow.
So if you're used to it, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
And thank God I found a Sizzler. You remember what a Sizzler
Sizzler
was? A little,
steakhouse,
a
right?
steakhouse,
Yeah.
a little salad bar and shit. But yeah, I found one of those in Japan. That's where I ate every day. And I tried to turn lunch into this long lunch into dinner so I could have one big meal out of this. Yeah. But you go into the shops and you'd see just stuff packaged differently than it is here. Or you'd see a lot of our look to our products, but it's in Japanese and has Japanese people are writing on the outside. I know one time there was a Chippendale show that I did, and we were in Japan, and people weren't. This is not where you put tips in. It's not like we're in some roadhouse or anything like that. These are well-produced stage shows, weeks and weeks of rehearsal to go into them and choreography. And for me, I'm singing as well. So we get to Japan and we go out to just meet people. Well, these women, they ripped down the G-string I had on and I'm like, oh no, you can't do that. And like everything was hanging out. And you're like, no. And then he's laughing and laughing. But these women, at least back when this happened, they're very submissive to men. That's just their culture. They will walk behind men, not with them, not in front of them, certainly not. So when they're letting loose here, coming to a Chippendales review or a show, I should say, and they're just with women. Well, they were just free. It's like, I guess, letting your boobs out. If you have to wear a bra all day long, it's freedom. And they just went absolutely nuts. So I didn't get mad. I was shocked. And B, I just had to stop and think that, they probably never, ever, ever done anything like this and have never been to any kind of show like this before. And we weren't out there to dance we were just out there to meet them. But that's what we had on at the time. And they were all fluorescent. So the lights were black in the auditorium. And so you have black lights on and fluorescent green, orange, and pink and yellow Speedos on and our bow ties. So yeah, it was
Oh man.
well, how long were you at the Chippendales? How
well,
long did you perform with them?
just a few short stints, but that wasn't me. I was you're well built, dude. I've never been that well built. I've had a body many years ago, and I had to for Chippendales, but I was there to sing, and it afforded me the chance to go. We toured UK, we toured Japan, and we were all over the US doing this. So,
Wow.
three different lengthy tours, I'll say. And instead of having to go dance, and a lot of these guys are on roids, man.
Oh yeah. I'm
Have
sure.
anger fits, and another culture shock. It's not even being in a foreign country. It's getting into a group like that where I'd never really been around bodybuilders.
Sure,
I'd been around guys that work out and go to the gym, and you see other people, you work out, and you spot each other.
Sure.
But to be with this group of guys on this tour, and I know this happened in England, and some of them just their egos were massive, and then you add the steroids to it, and what they do, punching holes in hotel rooms,
Oh my gosh.
it just screaming and yelling, and like, man, I don't know what I got myself into here.
Well, but I'm sure the mental side of that too is tough, because they're really like you're there just to. I mean, obviously you're there performing on the musical side of things, but a lot of these guys are just doing it because of the way they look.
Yeah,
and it's just. I'm sure as soon as anything like that, like you probably hear this with models probably feel the same way about this too. But it's just like they're so used to being put on a pedestal, but as soon as things kind of start to go the wrong direction, I'm sure that's a big a mental or self-identity problem for a lot of those guys.
Yeah,
or they're used to being, especially them being in a large group, like you're kind of used to being the alpha, the big tough guy, and then you get into this other group. You're in this large group of big meatheads, and like you're trying to out meathead the other meatheads. And I can imagine there's some like competition,
I'm sure.
Feeling there, and that's only gonna exacerbate the situation.
Yeah.
And so
the one guy in the tour at that point, we were in England. The oldest was 39, and everyone called him Daddy. Well, this guy looked better than most 21-year-olds who were walking around. He was great looking. He had his beautiful body, beautiful man, totally nice. He'd already gone through all that ego crap, and he was just really cool and down to earth. But boy, these younger ones, like you mentioned, it was just, I tried not to really engage, and I just did my thing. And if we had time to kill, I'd go sightsee or do my own stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you're a musician. You mentioned your dad wanted a baseball player. How did that early expectations shape your sense of identity?
Well, from the first time I saw it, was old enough to see the picture. I mean, one of the earliest pictures, they put me in a little baseball outfit with a hat holding a baseball, and I'm just looking at it like, what the hell is this? I'm just seriously, maybe 1 year old. And so my dad had wanted to play ball. He still played even when I was a little kid, played for the church team, and he watched the Cardinals, listened to the Cardinals games all the time, like KMOX outside in his chair. And so I knew that that's really what he would have wanted me to do. And luckily, 3 years later, they were able to have a natural born son. And so that one became the baseball player, and so little league and all that. I just never really let it bother me, because it just wasn't anything I was interested in. And I started to draw, and I was interested in vacuum cleaners. Not that I wanted to be a housewife or anything. It's just I had this crazy fetish with vacuum cleaners when I was a real little kid. And so that, I'm sure, concerned my dad. Why does he like vacuum cleaners so much? And then it went from that to school buses, which I've still not gotten over. And the first one, even like I was 4 years old, it would stop in front of my house with the kids going to the elementary school. And I'm like, oh, I'd be out on my tricycle, this big yellow school bus with the lights flashing. Oh, this is phenomenal. Look at that. So yeah, school buses, and everything became a school bus. Blocks I had built, draw a school bus out of it. So, I guess there was give and take. I remember a couple of times though, when my dad, he was driving up to visit me with my mom. It was Thanksgiving, and I couldn't get back, and I was in the Canton, Missouri, Quincy, Illinois area, where I went to college. And I worked for a commercial top 40 station then. Well, I had to work. It was the holidays and all the full timers were off. And my parents drove up to see me, to visit, so I could have them on Thanksgiving. Well, my dad got in the radio station. He was beaming to see me in there, his own kid, and hearing me on the radio on the way up there. And, and then the other time was, I know when the next time I saw him after I was ever on television for the first time, it was on Star Search way back in the day, if you remember even hearing about the show. But yeah, he was very, very pleased to see that. And so after those things, it's just, it was never any issue again that, he didn't get the baseball player he wanted. He got me, and, I was a whole different animal than he had ever expected. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
Wow. Well, speaking of your radio days, let's talk about that for a little bit. So what was your, experience with that? Where did you go, or where were you, or where did you work, or how did that go?
Yeah, well, after radio specifically, I was at that station, and I tell people, if they're getting into the industry, or whatever they want to do, you got to do what you want to do, and live life the way you want it to be. And so I went from that little station, and because you never know who you're going to meet, and so I got 2 job interview or offers from that little station, people who knew me or heard me. So I turned both those down, and it's like, no, I want to get to back to music and do writing and stuff. I worked at KMOX here in St. Louis for a summer. It was an internship for 6 weeks. It was over, and they offered me a job as to work in the newsroom, and I'm like, this is unheard of. I mean, because it doesn't happen. It's very rare. But I guess I did okay enough. I mean, they threw me right in there. I didn't have any choice, or I'd get bitched at, and they had some really, you could talk about egos. You could have those in a TV news setting.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's so we've gotten to know Monica very well, who and I think that's probably the coolest thing about her is the fact that she is so down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
How did you guys meet originally?
Well, years later, there was this contest, and I was in radio in Las Vegas, and I'd wanted to move to a bigger market and do country again. And so I had read or heard that WIL, it's a country station in St. Louis, they were looking for a nighttime jock, a nighttime host. And so they were doing this big search, and it was kind of like American Idol. So they were having people, you send your tape and resume, and they listen. They narrowed it down to 5 candidates, and then they had each of us come a different week over that summer. And we knew what week we were coming, so we could prep and all that. And so I entered that. I sent off my tape and resume, and a few weeks later, the program director called. So, love you. You're one of our finalists. So we love your stuff, and so we want you to come at such and such week and do your audition week and see how the listeners like you and how the staff likes you. So I loaded my guns, and I had already been working for a country station part-time in Vegas. I contacted every artist I knew or manager, people that I had actually met, not just cold calling. Whatever. Well, I had all these artists calling the show when I was on WIL that week, or they had sent me little bits on CD that they'd recorded and sent me.
That's awesome.
So you had everyone from Winona to Bob Kingsley, who hosted the American Country Countdown Top 40 every week. And I can't even think of all the rest. A lot of artists that you may not know because they're not popular anymore. But that impressed the programming staff so much. And then I had people who I had linked up with, like with Lindenwood College or Webster University. I said, you got anybody hungry who wants to learn radio? Because here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be in St. Louis this week, and I'd love to have some interns either out in the streets or in the studio to help me. So I lined up all these people to be out in the street. So they were calling in. It was just a mind-blowing week. Like, I don't think that radio station had ever expected to happen. And the listenership just shot through the roof. Well, I got the job. So
That's awesome.
that's how that happened. And during that week is when Monica and I met. Monica Adams. She was doing mornings, and
What was the time frame on this?
this was 2003,
Okay.
the summer of 2003.
Okay.
And we were all having a kind of get to know you with all the guys who'd been in the contest that summer. So there was 1 week, and then each night they were voting someone out. And so first day, everyone was going to go to eat at some Mexican restaurant, and the staff members, sales staff, all the other hosts would get to know all of us candidates before they started voting anyone off. And Monica asked, well, you want to ride with me? And I looked over, and she's got this blue Corvette, and it's just her. And I'm like, hell yeah. So that's it. So from the get-go, we had this amazing relationship that it just started in an instant. We laugh about the same shit. We have stories that go on and on and on, where it's just, you've got a real friend for life. And she's been there for me through thick and thin. And I hope I've been able to return the favor. It's just, I don't think I can ever repay her for all she's done for me. But she really is a dynamic person with a wonderful personality and a heart of gold. So I'm glad you guys know her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah,
we were just on her show on Monday. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, it was amazing. So, do you have any crazy stories from your days in radio? Like any crazy person you interviewed or anything like that?
It just sticks out.
Well, there's a lot, but name an artist, and sometimes maybe that's a great way to. I mean, one day Loretta Lynn showed up, and I'm like, get the F. So Loretta, are you kidding? Loretta Lynn is walking in here, and she was out promoting a new single about her jeans, look in my country jeans or something like that. Unbelievable experience. You're like, oh well. Loretta Lynn, old as Methuselah. Who cares? She's Loretta Lynn, and I get that she just couldn't be more loving. Hugged me, grabbed me, squeezed me. We got this wonderful photo together, and she was so gracious that I took the time to talk to her. And I'm like, no, I'm the one who's gracious for you taking the time to speak to me. But that's really how a lot of the country artists are. I know Christina Aguilera switching to another genre in one fell swoop here. She walked into this radio round. It was in Las Vegas. They have station reps and hosts from all over the country that come in, and you all set up, and you interview artists. They go from table to table, Well, she just blew everyone off, and everyone's like, well, who the hell she thinks she is?
Yeah.
So it can just really vary about who you meet and how they're going to behave.
Would you say there's one genre of artist that's a little bit more friendly or outgoing?
Oh, the country artists. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's not to say that there aren't pop acts and rock acts, because.
But as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, Lenny Kravitz was off the charts, mind blowing, amazing. And if you listen to any of his newer music, he's the electric blue something. I'm forgetting the name of the album. It's amazing. But he's tapped into that. You were talking about EDC and that vibe. He's tapped into that. And the guy is really he's so iconic, but he is so all about love and spirituality and accepting people and just getting people to come to a new understanding about humanity and how we all are connected. But there have been so many. It's just from Reba McEntire to the Backstreet Boys, Justin Timberlake. I told Monica about Ricky Martin this morning. She never heard that story, and it just runs the gamut. One of another icon that I found out was coming in the next day to interview, and oftentimes the producer wouldn't tell me, just let me know. Oh, Dionne Warwick's coming in tomorrow. I'm like, get the hell. I'm like, oh, she is right up there, man. Dionne Warwick. I set an intern out. I want you to buy her a bouquet of flowers. I want you to go to every used record shop and buy every Dionne album you can find for her to autograph, because this was big time. You don't blow opportunities like that when you have someone who's taking time out to come in and talk to you.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Well, you've interviewed a ton of artists, and is there throughout time, if you could interview one musician, who would it be?
Dead or alive?
Dead or
Dead or
alive?
alive.
Oh wow. Got me.
Yeah, putting you on the spot.
Putting you on the spot
man,
here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't come up with one,
Oh,
Give us a
yeah,
couple- a
God.
couple.
Oh, let's see. John Lennon, Elvis Presley, the Carpenters. Those are three, right? Aretha
right.
Franklin.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have had the chance.
And what's something
Yeah.
you'd want to ask him?
Really, how are you feeling during your time in music? What was going through your mind, your spirit at that point? And how have you been able to switch from what it was then to how it is now, when you were hot to when you're not so hot? And describe the euphoria. What you had to feel, that seeing your name on the Billboard Hot 100 or your song on the top 10,
the highest of highs.
what is it? What does it feel? What is it like when you see thousands and thousands of people showing up to a concert? Or I'd love to know what's your take on that, because I know what I think as a fan, but how is it coming to you as an artist? I had one time, a guy called me up. My wife and I can't go. Elton John's at the Hollywood Bowl tonight. You want these tickets? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So I called a friend up. We went. Well, the seats were way up when we got there, and it was early enough. We sat down. There's really no one around, but this guy kept following us. And like, this is really creepy.
Yeah.
And he kept watching. He'd sit down. And I keep looking over, and like he was staring right at us. And I'm like, what's that guy doing? So eventually he walked over. He said, "Hey, you guys, you like Elton John?" I'm like, well, yeah.
That's
He's
why we're
like,
here.
Yeah, well, you want these tickets? I'm like, well, why? We already got tickets. We're here. No, this is, you want to sit closer. I'm like, well, okay, why not?
Yeah,
Instead, told Eduardo, hey, if there's any they're bogus, we'll just come right back up here. What the heck? So thank you. And so we kept going down and going in, and it's like, well, it can't be any closer than this. So the ushers would, no, keep going down. Well, everyone's trying to come in because the concert's going to start in like a half hour. So we're going against the grain here, buddy.
Yeah.
And so finally you get down to like the last entrance to like where that, like a section closer to the stages. And the guy looks at the tickets, looks at me and Eduardo like, snapped his fingers. Honest to God, his little usherette comes over. I'll show you to your seats. And so she takes us down, and we go past all these boxes. That's usually where the well-to-do and celebrities sit. And you're going closer and closer and closer. And then there's a chain link fence. And then there are 8 seats. And there's the piano bench and the piano. And so we have these 2 seats closest to the piano bench.
Oh, wow.
Holy
I'm like,
cow.
how the
Yeah.
are we kidding?
Who is this guy?
Dude, I turned around because I mentioned a minute ago about asking artists, like what's their thought when they see all these thousands of people. I turned around to see what it would be like if I was on stage. It was mind blowing because it's just the place was sold out that night. It was completely packed, and so the guy came out one other time, the same one who gave us the tickets. He said, "How do you like your seats?" Like, well, how? Who? How do
Why
we get
me?
these?
Why'd you pick us?
So, well, Elton saw you and your buddy here come in on closed circuit, and he sent me up because he wanted you guys to sit here tonight. And I'm like, okay, where's this going to lead?
Right.
So he came out, and the whole time he was singing to me. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not embellishing this. The whole concert, and Eduardo was like, Todd, will you stop? He's like, no, hell, it's Elton John. He's singing to me. He hugged me, kissed me, grabbed me. I don't know how many times. And, Eduardo was like getting embarrassed. But it's like, dude, just enjoy it. What the heck?
Yeah.
Dude,
but honestly, that freaking happened. And so there was a time during the concert that night, this lady came out, got right between us. And she said, you guys know you're coming backstage after the show tonight, right? And I'm like, no. It was like, but right on.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Right.
So something happened between that point, and she hung out with us for a while. And then there was an electrical problem at the Hollywood Bowl, and the lights kept going on and off, and that kicked out the sound, the audio as well. Well, Elton John is a temper, and he doesn't show it very often, but that really ticked him off. He was so irritated that he couldn't wait to get the rest of the show over, and he hopped on a plane and got the hell out of LA. So going backstage never happened because I think he threw a fit backstage, and I don't want to speak for him or anyone else because I wasn't backstage when it happened. I was just told later on that he left, and he was not pleased about the audio and electrical problems.
No, sure.
But what a story I had
so
to tell,
cool.
and here I am telling it.
Yeah,
So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like,
awesome.
I mean, just the chance that you're walking in, he sees you guys, and
Yes.
like, hey, you're gonna come sit
Right here.
right here,
yeah, and what's
right next to me.
Why does Elton John watch a closed
private-
circuit TV when people are coming into the show?
Right.
What's going on here?
Why is he? It's so weird, but hey, I mean, I wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Like a private concert.
Screening. He's
Yeah.
screening his fans.
Oh man,
that's
that's,
so cool.
awesome.
Anyway, thank you for letting me be on your show here
Oh, yeah,
today.
it's been
Zach
great.
and Pat.
Glad to have you
I
guys on.
appreciate
I'd
it.
love
You're
to be on
letting me relive a lot of these experiences. And people say, "Oh, you write a book," but I don't know. It seems like I can't get started because I can't find the time or don't want to sit down that long and do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it sounds like you got stories for days.
Yeah.
We love getting
kind
people
of
in
tell
here to
themselves.
say-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we like about this show is just letting people come on and tell their stories, and you've got a lot of them, so it's awesome. Well, I mean, so music, it's a big part of your life. What have you learned about vulnerability from writing your music?
That you have to have a thick skin because not everyone's going to like your music. They're not going to like a song. They'll criticize it. They'll whatever. And you just have to do the best job you can and keep putting it out, moving forward and believing in yourself and believing in your music. Look, if there's a group of people that say, "Oh, I don't like that song," well, then it's probably not going to be a hit. You need to move on in that case. But if you still believe in it, you'll ask, well, why don't you like it? What's wrong with it? How could I tweak it to make it better? Listen to what people have to say. And this goes with anything, not just songwriting, but with anything. And you can't let others constantly control who you are and what you do. You have to find the best way for yourself and believe in what you're doing, and then keep on that path. And learn from people who offer some advice along the way or offer to help you, and be grateful for that opportunity or that chance meeting or that someone said that because maybe it corrected something that needed to be correcting or it helped you in a way that maybe you didn't know you needed help.
Right.
But those vulnerabilities, which is like you're putting yourself out there. And there's some music I've never recorded or released, one of the two, that I can't wait to get out there. But yes, when you talk about stripping yourself naked, as I heard a singer say one night on stage before she just belted loose with this just song where you would just go, "Oh my God, this woman is in such pain and agony she's singing about." But that's really what she meant. You are really taking off every layer of covering that you have before other people and letting them see the real you. And so that's as vulnerable as you can get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's your take on AI? Is that something you think's going to change music? Like, do you think?
Oh God, already has. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
working
see.
on a dance version of the new single now, and I know Pete, who's producing, he's like showing me all these things he can do in the studio now that he didn't have the ability to do 5, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and like that's freaking amazing.
Like
you
what?
know, well, how you can bend pitches and sounds and everything, or there's auto tune, which I really don't like, and I have never used, and I can honestly say that. But it's out there, and if I only wanted to record one take of a song, well, he could put on auto tune, it would correct every note that I sang in the song. Is that really me?
Right.
You know, is that really authentic? Well, it's authentic if you don't mind being manufactured to some degree. But there's a lot of stuff you could do now. Look, I was having a conversation with a buddy last week about this organ that they had in this church they were tearing down in Philadelphia, and it was a pipe organ. And the pipes went from the teeny tiniest to these gigantic, I don't know how many feet long, where each one had a job to do with the organ. Like you'd press, a chord or, keys on the organ, and that pipe or that plus another pipe or 2, 3, whatever, they would make the sound that you hear. But it took all those pipes. Well, you don't have to have all that anymore.
Yeah.
You can use synthesizers and keyboards with all the equipment attached to it to recreate all that now. So it's making a lot of instruments obsolete, and where, that took up a lot of space, that huge pipe organ with you could picture it like a Roman Catholic or a Catholic church, with all
it's that whole area.
Yeah.
Of, the thing.
Yeah. You don't need that anymore. It's cool to have, like, and if it's there, leave it, because it's cool to look at.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A beautiful piece of furniture, furniture, I guess, at this point now.
Yeah.
So
at least for a church.
Yeah. So also, obviously technology has changed it. I mean, the music industry, but so is social media. I mean, it is like, I know, especially during COVID and with TikTok and all that, like the rise of artists, like independent artists that have come from social media. I mean, what are you seeing on your side of things when it comes to social media? Are you yourself putting your music through social media to kind of grow your following and things like that?
Yeah, I have to. And so we just released the music video, and this is do or die for this song now, with the videos out there. And I've held it back because I wanted Monica's show to have the debut of it, but it's going everywhere now. So that will help. And you can create clips, interview clips, everything else. You have to constantly push and post. And so for other companies that I work with as a social media manager, and I handle their company, their account, whatever, I've done that for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You can't create enough content. And that's the one thing that I think you'll find it really is taking, where it used to, you could be one person. It may take a few hours to do all their socials. Now, because there's so many platforms and people are gobbling up content so quickly, it takes 2 or 3 people, or you just have to really be dedicated to fewer accounts and posting more content, creating and posting. And sometimes creating, you try to rack your brain. How do I do something different than the last time or last post or yesterday? But sometimes the simplest stuff can really
take off. I know. Sometimes the stupidest little silly ones are the ones that get the most attention.
Like the one we just did the other day. It was 3 seconds long.
Yeah, it was 3 seconds long.
What'd you do? Because I haven't seen.
Oh, it's just. I mean, it was us. It was like a. What was the song?
I forget the song, but it was. Oh, what was it? What was the song that it was? But all it was us out of frame, rolling into frame to where we were like shoulder to shoulder,
like sitting there like this, and
kicking our feet. And it was what was the caption on it?
When you hear someone wanting to buy a house or something like that, and you like roll into the frame. Yeah, it was.
Where is it?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
Yeah. 3 seconds long, but it gets a few thousand views.
Just,
and we're like, wow, that one kind of took off for us. Like it was just, and it literally took us, 30 seconds to do.
Who came up with that? Let's roll in together on the floor.
I saw another person. I saw it was like a lawyer or something. It was like two lawyers. They basically did the same thing, but like when you get injured in an accident or something, and they rolled
they
into the
crashed
thing,
in the center.
And I was like, I can.
We can do that for
real. Like,
we can do this.
When you're thinking, because him and I are both in real estate. I'm a realtor. He's a mortgage lender, and. When you hear someone say they want to buy a house, and here I am.
3 seconds, and
it just
took beautiful.
Yeah.
How many takes?
I think two.
Yeah.
The first one, we started too close. We ran into each other.
A little too hard. Did you get injured?
No.
He's a big guy over here.
We're like, all right, we need to start together, roll out, and then roll in. So
we could get our distance.
Yeah. Once we get that, we're easy
peasy.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, which platform do you primarily focus on, or do you?
Instagram.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's the one.
But I've got to do more on TikTok. And
Yeah,
I
I know.
realized
It's
that.
inc-
I
yeah.
tried to avoid it for so long because, who knows what to believe. But if
Right.
the Chinese have my
Yeah.
address. Who doesn't have my address at this point,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But I don't want people spying on me in China, you
Yeah,
know?
I felt the same way, man. I thought the same thing, but yeah, I primarily the one that I use the most, that I get on the most to scroll, is definitely Instagram.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the one I pay the most attention to. And
Same.
Yeah, but
I think that's what most of the people that we're working with. That's the age of the that we're
The
people,
demographic.
the demographic
Yeah.
that we're working with are mostly on Instagram.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been. I mean, I think it's definitely made the job more fun. Instead of it just added another aspect or level to it. I mean, it is another thing that we have to add on to what we're doing on our already busy schedule. But that's the great thing about this too, is like this is part of that, because it allows people to find, like, you work with who you like, know, and trust.
Mhm.
What are we, 160 something episodes in now? And I mean, it's hard to fake that for that long on who we are. So
Right.
it allows people to kind of see us and kind of get that, like, hey, these are people that we like, that we would like to sit down and talk to and work with. So
Mhm. Have you
it's been-
had clients that you brought in here like, hey, I think you'd make a great guest, and then they have
Oh,
an
yeah.
amazing story
oh,
to tell?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
Many of them. Many of
Yeah.
them.
Awesome.
So
Yeah. Or vice versa, where
Yeah.
they, I didn't know you
Yeah.
were a lender, or I
Yeah.
didn't know you were in real estate.
I mean,
Yeah.
we just had a guy in here last week. He's like, "Hey, well, me and my wife are gonna be looking to buy a house in the next year, so
Yeah.
we'll contact you." So
Yeah.
like,
Awesome.
great. Didn't expect that from the interview, but
Yeah.
he was a
and then
police officer that had been shot 4 times, and
Oh,
it was
no.
crazy.
Yeah.
He had a wild story,
oh yeah,
a few wild stories
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
and
Yeah.
then one of our past clients owns a CrossFit gym, so we had her in here, and she was she was our first female guest and one of our very first guests altogether. And we had her on here telling her story, and it was from that kind of gave me that edge to kind of, hey, all right. I
And
actually
you
I
joined
did
the CrossFit gym.
I
yeah.
did I did CrossFit that morning before we interviewed her, and it was just completely different than the preconceived notions that I had about it.
Mhm.
And then I went in there and I went through the training and all that, and I was like, now I'm hooked.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that, and we've had a few other come on that have been both past clients and future clients. So,
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty when you
Right.
when you stop and take the time to talk to people,
right,
you will find out some really interesting things,
for
and
sure.
a lot of it's just by chance. You have a client, and you get to talking. It's more than just hi, how are you? That's good, and that's it, and you go your separate ways because everyone's got more to tell. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
I went to a party last October, and the host, she says, "Oh, and this is so and so." I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. So I was like, "Hello, nice to meet you." He's like, "Hi, how are you?" And it's an older, a little older than me, not by much, and he was just telling his story. He's, I had to get the interview for the book, and I'm like, "Oh, what were you talking about?" Oh, just what happened back that night in Vegas on the Strip. And I said, I guess he thought I knew. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, what specifically? Oh, I guess Stacy didn't tell you. I'm like, no, you just threw me over to introduce you to me. He's like, oh, I'm the officer that found Tupac after he'd been shot, and I was the first one there. I'm like, oh,
wow.
wow. So, I spent an hour talking to this man at the party. No one else mattered at that point. It
Right.
was just like I was intent on hearing what he had to say. So, he's in my phone. He's inviting me to come out and have some drinks and whatever a few times. I've never been able to. He and his wife have a farm now outside of Vegas as well. And, he has, with what happened last summer, I guess it was last year, where they arrested a man who was, I guess, responsible for the
Yeah,
shoot.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this officer has been back in the public eye all over again. But you never know
Right.
who you're going to run into
Yeah.
and what they're
Well,
going to have to
Well, and then
say.
you actually sit down
know?
and talk to someone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of our favorite things about this is, I mean,
And
how
everybody's
often
got
you-
a story.
Yeah, everybody's got a story, and you actually sit down across the table from someone and get to know them for an hour,
Yeah.
hour and a half, and just we don't get a lot of that nowadays.
Mhm.
With
Right.
the way everybody's got their phone in their hand, and I mean that's one of my favorite things about this is, phones go away, and it's just us sitting here with
Yeah.
a couple microphones in front of us.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, like there's we've only deleted one episode, and it's unfortunate because I mean this person that we sat with, has traveled the world, all these things that we would think would have stories to tell, but she just didn't want to share them. And we're just like sitting here, like asking leading questions. I'm like, we're like leaning in, like, hey, come on, give us more. And it's just like 1 sentence answers. And we're like, well,
this is a tough one.
Yes, I've been.
It doesn't happen too often.
Yeah.
No. It's really only happened once.
Yeah, it's the only one.
It's the only one that we've ever, not used really.
Right. And it's just like, what, what is there a fear of opening up, or what is it? It's just like, but we've had some cool ones. I mean, we had a guy that rollerbladed across America for a rare blood disease that he has, and another one who
from Venice Beach to Times Square in like 42 days.
Yeah.
42 days
rollerblading.
Rollerblading.
He's a hockey player.
My
He's a
gosh.
professional hockey player, and from France. And they made a documentary. I think it's getting close to coming out. Yeah.
And then we had another guy who, with no experience, his brother committed suicide. To honor his brother and spread his ashes, he hiked the Appalachian Trail
with like no training.
No training.
You know, like he's like, I camped in my backyard a couple times to make sure I knew how to put the tent up.
Yeah.
Wow.
then ended up spending almost 5 months in the woods basically.
I was gonna say 5 months and 5 days is what it was. So
crazy.
Just cool stuff like that. We've and a buddy of ours who's a very successful business owner here in St. Louis, who talked about his 7 years in max security prison and how he got there and how it changed his life. Just a lot.
Did you have any idea he'd been in prison?
We knew.
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah, we knew.
For sure.
But we didn't know.
We didn't know like I knew that's all we knew. It's like I knew you spent 7 years in prison, but I didn't know like how or how like what led there, or like what his experience was like there. And
did he open up to you and tell you what it's like in prison?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you didn't know that he told you?
Yeah, I mean, you see stuff on TV. He was in max security, so he was like, yeah, you think that like on a daily basis there's going to be people fighting and killing each other in max security. He goes, these are people that are there to serve out the rest of their lives. This is where they're living. And he's like, honestly, they don't want their place of living to be fucked with. So it's he's like, it's not as dangerous and crazy as you may hear. He's like, now his brother, who was in medium security prison, he goes, he was fighting on a daily basis. He's like, it's just completely different. He's like, I was able to go in there. He's like, you do need to establish early on that you're not anybody to get fucked with. And he's like, yeah, early on there was some tests, but I got through them. And he's like, you can either go in and come out worse. You're either going in and getting worse, or you're going to get better. He's like, unfortunately, the majority of people are getting worse. He's like, but I took that time to find Jesus and find God. And now he's probably one of the most faithful and spiritual people I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
And just what he's been able to do with his wife and his now young son, who just turned 1. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And what he's done with his business, he's an exceptional person.
Good.
Yeah, he does all my real estate photography, or my real estate videography, I should say.
Yeah.
Really?
I've got some silly videos on Instagram that you'll have to check out.
Yeah, he does some funny stuff.
But yeah, him and his company make all of those for me, and obviously I kind of do a little performance in the beginning of them, but then they take it from there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's good. Well, you've helped him as well.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving him an opportunity that maybe others wouldn't.
Oh yeah, I mean
you were in prison. Oh,
yeah, 100%.
I don't know that I want to get involved with you.
Well, he's like one of those people that you would never suspect of talking to him. Like you would never know unless he told you. Like,
well, but then it's working. If he was in a prison where their philosophy is in trying to rehabilitate the prisoners, the inmates, and so they're prepared when they get out to go be a productive person, hold down a job, get a family if that's what they choose to do, and make sure that they don't fall off the wagon again and get back into a life filled with crime and end up right back where they are. So I'm glad it worked out. That sounds like he's on the right path.
Oh, definitely.
He found God, and that's certainly a help. There was an afternoon I went to a buddy's house in L.A. He said, come over when you show my new house to you. So I drove over there, and we went out to get something to eat. And coming back and he said, oh, there's Sylvia. Let's go help her with her groceries. She's an old lady, and her husband, they were pulling grocery bags out. I'm like, okay. So we go over, we're like, oh, here, let me help you with that. And, we're taking the groceries up the driveway into the kitchen, just set them down. It's fine. Thank you so much. Now, Brian, this is your friend Todd, right? Todd, nice, thank you. Let me show you my home. And so I'm like, oh God, how long are we gonna be in here? So she first stop off the kitchen into the hallway is this, I guess, dining room. I don't remember a table being it, but whatever. So I'm just looking around, and she's just telling me about her house and how long she's lived there. It's a charming home in the Fairfax district, and so I noticed this portrait on the wall. I said, "Oh, who is this woman in the picture here?" She said, "That is me. I was Miss Poland, 1939."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And the first thing I thought of was what happened on the 1st of September in 1939. Well, that's when the Nazis invaded Poland at the start, essentially, of World War II. And before I even said anything, she goes, "That did not last because within a few days, Germans come and start bombing. My family, we all round up, get to concentration camp. We put in the concentration camp. I never see my parents, my brothers, sisters, and my husband, my own children. All died in concentration camp."
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, this is going to be one of those I'm going to start crying right now thinking about one of those moments where you're placed by God to hear someone's testimony. And this happened like in 2009 or 10. So she was well up in her late 80s or early 90s. We went into the living room, and her husband was sitting down, and she sat in another armchair, and my friend Brian was in there. And so she's just telling me about what her experience was in the concentration camp. She went through Auschwitz and 2 others, and she was able to stay alive because she was young enough and able enough to be put on work programs where she would go out with a team of other women inmates, and they'd work on everything from roads to building, and it's like, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm hearing this story. She escaped at least once, maybe twice, by running into the woods near the roads when they were out doing work. And she was caught at least once or twice. I can't remember if it was once or twice she was able to escape, but she was caught and she was punished for that.
Sure.
But she had the number tattooed on her arm, and the woman died like 3 years later after that. Wow. I had found out. But I am so fortunate to be able to have that time and moment. Learn about her, what she'd gone through. There's always been this interest, and I don't think it comes from a sick place within me. It's from a place of
curiosity.
How can people treat other people like that, or even animals? It's just, I don't understand how you can be so cruel and inhumane and do this, and on such a large scale, even worse. And so to get to meet Sylvia that day, it was just an opportunity that I am so grateful to have had.
Oh, I'm sure. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wild story.
I mean, from between that and then all the people that you've interviewed, especially within the music industry, like obviously everybody has a story to tell, but was there one thing, like I could kind of pinpoint, there's always one thing with the people that we have on that interview and come on. Is there one thing that's a lot of these successful musicians that had in common?
I think that they are much more humble and down to earth than you might think that a celebrity or someone who's had hit records would be. They're just people, and it's not easy to stay in this industry. It's a lot of work, and
sure.
you deal with a lot of adversity. You deal with a lot of rejection and negativity, and people pulling you in a million directions. And I understand a lot of that just by being around it so much. I remember being at Universal Studios not long after I moved to LA. I think I was there doing a gig, and John Cougar Mellencamp was there. And I just had the moment to, like, he was right there not doing anything, and so was I. So I just struck up a conversation with him. And I think I had said, Oh, dude, I love the Paper and Fire video from a year or two ago. Man, you let your hair grow, and now look at it; it's all short again. Like it's really shorter than I've ever seen it. He said, yeah, well, you got to keep changing, and I've never forgotten that you have to keep evolving, and that's one reason you'll see artists like Madonna, who's been so successful because she's been able to continue on, even though she's really cooled and like over the past 10, 15 years, but she's still in the public eye. If she makes an appearance, people know. Yeah, but she's changed her look, her sound, and it's evolving. And the same way with other artists who've been staying at it, where they've come out with a hit that was some iconic for some reason, like out of nowhere. Well, they've been recording all along. It's just that they didn't have these songs didn't get as much airplay or that notoriety as something that maybe it was out of left field. Well, it's about trying to just keep evolving. And I never forgot those words from John Cougar that night.
That's a pretty cool lesson.
Gotta keep changing.
That's a pretty cool lesson in a short sentence. That's awesome.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
So one other thing, you mentioned you're really into model airplanes. How did that come about?
Yeah, totally fluke, because I didn't even care about airplanes necessarily growing up. I did go, and I took the time when I was at Lambert Airport here in St. Louis to go in the terminal the other day when I was there and just shoot some video of all those domes. That's because that's iconic. That's from the golden age of aviation for sure. When that opened in 1956, that period through the 60s. But I got this little model airplane for a friend who had worked for TWA, which was huge here. And so it was bigger than Anheuser-Busch back in the day. Everyone knew what TWA, the airline, everything. It was millions of people flew on TWA, and it was headquartered here in St. Louis. We had a hometown airline. Yeah. And so he had worked for that airline. I got him this little model. It came in the mail, and I was so impressed with it. I'm like, well, I got it on eBay. I'm like, I just like this for Christmas. I was so impressed with it. It was like the print on it, tempo printed, no decals, it was all tempo printed, but everything on it. The engines, the windows, the logo was perfect. And it was a little TWA DC-9, a Douglas aircraft. If you mentioned McDonnell Douglas. So I kept it. I got him something else. and that's what started. I kept going back to eBay because I didn't know where else to find these things. Well, I just started amassing, and then I guess I was in LA. It was about 2013, and I had been in network radio, syndicated for years, and I was just getting kind of burned out. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, they're looking for someone at this brand, Gemini Jets, which is in Las Vegas." I said, "Oh yeah, I have a ton of their models in my collection." He said, "Well, they're looking for someone there to do all sorts of stuff," and so my girlfriend works there. And this guy was also in radio, so that's how we knew each other. So it's just weird how it all worked out. I got hired over the phone. He said, "You know what? I don't want to move to Denver where Westwood One is going. I want to either stay in LA or I'm getting the heck out." And well, staying in LA to work with Westwood One was no longer an option. So I just decided, you know what? Radio's not what it used to be. It's declined so much. People just aren't listening. The commercial sets turn people out. They don't want to listen to 7 minutes of commercials. Right. So I jumped ship and went to work for this brand in Las Vegas. And I've been there for over 10 years now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And there are people, my Instagram account for model airplanes is like a million, thousands times more than anything for everyday life or music.
Really?
So I just have this following and people who know me, and I've gotten to know all because of model airplanes and aviation. Oh. And it really is a great group of people who fly planes, who are flight attendants, who work for airlines, they're mechanics. And I know them from all over the world. And that is when you say, "Oh, I know people all over the world." Well, I can honestly say that, and it's really true. There's one buddy of mine I've never met. It's all through social. He lives in New Caledonia, and I'm like, "Where?
What is that at?"
Well, it's this little group of islands that are north of Australia, way out in the South Pacific. and he will send me videos. It's the most gorgeous place on earth. The water is like see-through light blue. And he was a windsurfer. And I think he was on a team or a league, or he had done something where he was like Olympic grade windsurfing. Because he's got all these videos that he's shared and I've seen. He works for the airport in New Caledonia. So he's always posting pictures. They only have one or two airlines, maybe Qantas comes, and then they have another one or two. So, but he was able to get a picture with the French president who visited last year, Macron.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my God, Macron getting off his plane in the airport, and there he is. I'm like, dude, that's freaking stellar.
That's pretty
That's
But it's people like that. They're just it's a really hardworking, fun group of people that all love airplanes. So
So cool.
Very cool.
It's just a cool hobby to get into and just interesting.
yeah,
So do you build
No,
models, or
they're
just
all
the
pre-built. Yeah, I don't
Okay.
have the patience for that.
Gotcha.
Did you build models when you guys were kids?
I
I
had
remember
cars.
building the model
You did?
car with my
Yeah.
grandpa once.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
it took forever.
Yeah, did that. Yeah.
It took
And that's
forever.
why it turns me on
Right.
to try and build a model.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, as a little kid, all the patience and the little tiny pieces.
oh,
it's just,
yeah.
I have a feeling that's what my youngest son's going to get into because he loves building things with Legos. Like,
Uh-huh.
you give him a Lego set, no matter how big. He just got an 800-piece Lego for graduating preschool. My parents spoiled the shit out of this little kid. So
Uh-huh.
he got this 800-piece Lego, and he built the whole thing by himself.
Did he
Oh,
really?
God, he loves it. Yeah, we were at a birthday party over the weekend, and this kid got the kid loved Legos, and so he got 4 or 5 different sets. But then he had like 3 of those sets he had multiples of. So he gave 2 of them to Ollie, and Ollie, they were just sitting at the counter, and they built this Star Wars in the course of like 3 hours. Built this Star
Holy cow.
Wars like community on the
A
countertop.
community.
Yeah, like all of the they built 4 of the sets that he got. They sat there and built it together, and it was like this set, this Star Wars, like a set from the movie of Star Wars. With
Yeah.
all the figure, the ships, and then the layout of the land. Like, it was pretty cool.
Were you amazed that
I
this
was
is my
shocked.
son
I was
that
like-
helped build all this
Yeah, I'm like
stuff?
sitting there, like I was standing, like I could see him from the kitchen, so like I could look in there and I could just, he was just so intent, just like, hey, Dad, can I get your help? Wait, never mind, I got it. I'm like, yeah, buddy, just let me know if you need anything. And he's just like, just working away while all the other 50 kids are going nuts.
And
And
he's
I'm
just
just
sitting there quietly.
sitting there quiet. It's the quietest and most like calm and still I've ever seen him. And he was just in his elements. But he's going to be, so my oldest is the athlete, and my youngest, he's going to be the artist.
An engineer?
He's an engineer.
Architect?
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
he wants to do. Like, I'm not, if he doesn't want to play sports, I'm not going to push it on him.
Uh-huh.
Just people always ask, because I played baseball. They're like, oh, are you going to push your kids into baseball? I'm like, no, if they want to play, they'll play. If not, like I said, I mean, I saw that with my brother and I. Like, I was the athlete. My brother was not. He was the hands-on, but he got pushed into athletes, and it kind of created some resentment between the two of us because he didn't want to do it, and he was always in my shadow with sports. And so I'm not going to do that to my kids. I'm not. They're gonna get to do what they want to do. And if Ollie wants to go to Lego camp, Ollie's going to go to Lego camp. If you want, So yeah, no, it's.
There is a Lego camp?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something
So
like
they
that.
were, yeah. So at the party, I guess there's I forget what park it was that this guy was telling me about, but they have this big Lego convention that comes in, and basically these professional Lego builders.
There's such a thing?
Oh yeah, they will come in and basically they'll have like competitions to who can build the best and biggest Lego creation.
So is this like
It's-
from
it's-
scratch?
yeah,
'Cause I
like,
know
there's no-
typically off of
there's
like,
no-
when you buy a Lego box,
comes
there's
with the
instructions on how to
yeah.
build this thing.
So no, these people are artists, and they come in and they just create art, whatever they want to create
Out of
out of
Lego.
Legos. They
that's
basically have an unlimited amount of Legos, all different colors, all this. I'm sure they have things already in their mind on how they want to build or what they want to build, and they just take those pieces, almost like building a sandcastle
Sculptural,
or
or
yeah, and they just build these massive pieces of art, and they're professional Lego builders.
Wow.
They were telling me about this at the party when we were sitting there talking, because one of the parents has their oldest son's name's Oliver, is also really big into Legos. Maybe it's a thing with the name Oliver. I don't know that they like Legos, but
Yeah.
yeah. So they were telling me all about it, and I'm like, Let me know when that
Yeah,
is, because I know Ollie would have a field day with that. So.
Yeah. No, there's a guy I know. He has a Lego store in University Place, Washington,
Mm-hmm.
and he just people go to his shop
yeah.
to buy Lego sets and Lego pieces and stuff.
There's one in Kirkwood.
All these is there?
Yeah, it's called
Okay.
Minifig.
Minifig. Okay.
Yeah, it's straight Legos, and I go in there. And I took the boys in there, and like just the characters. Like there's one in there for sale for $500,000 or $500. Just a little
Is
tiny.
it rare?
It's apparently it's a rare Lego character.
Okay.
And they have it, and it's for sale for $500. I'm like, people pay $500. Like, well, no,
Yeah.
obviously that's why it's sitting
That's
here.
why
but-
it's sitting here.
Well,
but they have other. like-
someone will
Yeah,
someday.
will
That's the
someday.
thing.
Right.
Yeah, if they find out about it.
They've got all different ones. Like they have like a massive collection of these that are like the average price on some of these rare ones that they have multiple like $150. And they're like, yeah, people buy them.
Yeah, it's the
Like,
same
that's
with these
crazy.
die-cast model airplanes.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, I've even splurged on some I've really wanted
Yeah.
because they're produced in limited quantities, just like these Lego pieces and sets that you're talking about. You know, you don't keep mass producing. You make collectibles to stay collectible,
Yeah,
and
the value.
and I'm sure
isn't
it's
the
still
value
there.
goes up once they sell out.
Yeah,
And
it's an investment.
Yeah.
You know, we had a guy on here talking about how he collects Jordan sneakers and watches and things like and and cards.
Yeah,
I mean,
he has those books full of like his whole thing is like Jordan cards. I mean, he's got probably hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of Jordan cards, or like playing cards, not playing cards, but is that what you call them? Playing cards, trading cards.
trading cards.
yeah,
But yeah, it's his whole thing, and it's like, I mean, and they just keep going up in value.
Yeah.
They're like an asset. It's just-
Do you have one particular model that's your favorite?
Oh God, there's a 200 scale die-cast American Airlines 747 in the collection.
Okay.
It's polished metal. An American actually flew the jumbo jet, the 747, when they were introduced in the 1970s. So
Okay.
it really was part of their fleet in real life. But this thing's polished metal, just like the real airplane was, and it's gorgeous. It even has wingtip antennas, like the
How big is
real
this?
1-to-1. It's 1 to 200 in scale.
Okay.
So if you lined up
200
from
of them?
nose to tail, 200 of them, it would equal the same length as the real
Wow.
1-to-1.
Okay. So it's a
Wow.
pretty decent
747.
size.
It's gotta be pretty big,
Yeah,
right?
it's about this
Yeah.
big from nose to tail.
Okay.
The wingspan on it. Yeah.
Cool.
It's nice, heavy
Mhm.
Yeah,
model.
metal.
Yeah, but that's what they're all like that I have, and they're in scale. So it's a 737 is going to be smaller
Mhm.
compared to a jumbo jet or an A380. So it's the same in scale.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know why I've gotten into this hobby, and it's just
Yeah.
Oh, have you
gone crazy.
thought about getting in and getting your pilot's license?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So a friend of mine.
Would you even have the time?
Well,
Question.
that's another thing, and it's very expensive.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there are a lot of young people I meet who come to visit us out there in Las Vegas, and I've known them from the time they were in junior high or high school. So that they get they're flying with grandpa in the Cessna, and then they go to get a pilot's license, and then maybe they're training with people, but they keep moving up.
Mhm.
And they've gone now from flying people to the Grand Canyon and back to now getting on with a regional carrier. Then they go flying with a mainline airline like American Southwest, Delta, whatever. And then their career, like a guy who's done that now, he just moved to Dallas to be a flight instructor with American. Like he's one of they thought enough of his skill and ability and his personality as well that they
Teach.
put him into this position of teaching. Yeah. But yeah, there's a friend of mine, he came in to visit with his parents from Southern California, and he was learning to fly, went to a flight school. So I don't know if was it on the news? It was on the news, I guess. One day, this small plane had lost power and had landed on Route 66 in Southern California. So I'm like, well, that grabs attention. Route 66, small plane, lands on the roadway, So I paid attention. I'm like, oh my God, it's Brock. And he's 18 at the time, and he had his grandma and a cousin in the aircraft. They were just flying like out of San Bernardino to go get breakfast. And grandma would take her up to fly, let her get in the plane. Well, she was shitting bricks, praying to God the whole time because the little plane had no power. And so all he could do was just kind of glide. And you're in a mountainous region. If you've ever been on I-15 where it goes into the Cajon Pass, and it's like, oh, I hate it. I hate driving. I hate thinking about it. It's just, it's very, very dangerous. And it's nothing but mountain ranges. And that's where this plane was. And so he was radioing in. He's like, I can't make it back to the airport. I don't know what there's power lines, there's mountains, there's trees. What am I going to do? So he found like I guess the most logical place to land the plane was on Route 66. But it just, this story blew up all over. It was on nightly news and it was an Inside Edition. Everyone was covering it. They're with his parents and talking to him. So I think that kind of like left its mark. It's like God was really looking down on you. And Brock has been on a mission, his Mormon mission for the past 2 years in Central America. And so he and I email every couple of weeks and see how he's doing. But he'll be back. But, you to get my own license, I'm really afraid of heights, man. So
just stick to the
planes,
keep the model planes on the ground.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, one of our recent episodes, one of the owners here, he's a personal injury lawyer. He has a plane. He's got his pilot license. And he was telling us a story on the episode about something similar that he went through. He had to do an emergency landing and actually wound up crashing his plane.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess they did a whole story, but yeah, he landed and there was a bobcat, like the not the animal, but the actual, like the heavy machinery equipment.
Yeah.
Just like off to the side of the runway. They told him that he was going to a clear runway and it wasn't. And the bobcat was like right there and it
took off one of the wings as he landed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy story.
Survived and he's okay, but yeah.
Still flying.
Yeah.
Still flying. Get a new plane.
He got bummed out. He had to get a new plane.
Stupid bobcat.
This was happening while he was trying to buy a house too, and I'm
really
fine. Jim, just give it a little bit before
you buy that plane.
Before you go buy that plane,
let's buy the house first.
Yeah. Watch him pull up on the driveway. The first day, there's a bobcat sitting blocking the path. Not a good sign.
No.
Well, Todd, this has been great having you in here. We've had a blast with you. Your story's incredible. Is there anything you want to plug before we get you out of here?
No, just download and stream and add your playlist. My new single. It's on every platform for music you can get it.
And what's it called?
I just don't think that I'll be getting over you. And I'm very, very happy with this song. The music video that just premiered, and it's all over the place now. They added all these platforms. You never know if they're going to add your song or not. And within 2 days of release, I've started seeing it on Amazon, Apple Music, and
Spotify.
It was Spotify and Pandora. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I just get notes from people in the UK. Oh, it's on Amazon Music UK. I just saw it. Or it's in Russia.
That's awesome.
I didn't even know they were allowing musicians or even music from the U.S. You thought they'd block it or something, but it's over there.
That's awesome.
It's crazy. Thank you.
Very cool. Well, we end the show with one last question. I always surprise our guests with it. It's a little game. We call it the Tombstone game.
All right.
Here lies Todd. What does it say on your tombstone?
He was kind and loving, and I hope that's how people will remember me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Well, thank you all for tuning into the show. If you could hit that subscribe button for us, that would help us out a ton. We have a goal to get to 500 subscribers before the end of 2025. So hit that subscribe button. If you got something out of the episode, tell a friend. That would mean the world to us. Click that like button as well. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.